So my name is Kim Lyons. I work for North East London Foundation Trust. I used to work in prosthetics. I don't work there now, but they've got an absolutely fantastic psychological therapist that works there. People who know me, so my background is more around pain management, phantom pain, which is, some of you have attended a session I did on phantom pain. And today I'm going to do about sleep, because that is another interest of mine, is around sleep. So I'm going to get the slides up. Last time I tried this, it worked. So hopefully it will work this time. So, okay, can you all see the screen? Can you see? Okay. Let me, from the beginning. Okay. So we're going to talk about, can you see that slide? Heather, can you unmute yourself and just tell me if you can see this slide moving?
Yep, the slides are moving. It's looking good.
Okay, so that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So what I'm going to do is talk about sleep, okay, and just amazing time of the year to actually talk about sleep as well, because nobody's sleeping because of this heat. Okay, and I'm going to rush through the slides, okay, because you can have a copy of these slides. So, and then after the slides should take, I'm going to try and get through them in 30 minutes, and then you can ask me questions. If I can't answer them, okay, then what I do is I will take your name and email address, and then I will get back to you, okay? So sleep. So if you ask a good sleeper what they do to get off to sleep, what they tend to say is nothing. I do absolutely nothing. Okay. So COVID-somnia, it is actually a word now. Okay. So at the beginning of the pandemic, many people reported better sleep. Okay. Many people were working from home. They did not have to wake up early to manage their stressful commute to work. And people reported a better home and work-life balance. People started to go to bed later, more so when they felt sleepy, and they could really align their behaviour and biological sleep periods more closely. As a result, they slept better. However, there's always a however, isn't there? However, as the pandemic continued, this was short-lived, and people complained of sleep disturbances, which correlated to the increase of stress and anxiety brought on by the pandemic. And now we have a word, COVID-somnia was coined, and you can Google it. It is Google. It's now on Google. Okay, so what is the symptoms? What happened? So obviously I come from a cognitive behavioural therapy background, so we're going to look at thoughts, emotions, physical symptoms and behaviours. So what started happening? Loved ones, people were very, very concerned about loved ones, concerned about going to work or not going to work, not being able to socialise, see children, grandchildren. So a lot of isolation, and this caused a lot of uncertainty. Okay. So, and this led to emotions of, sorry everybody, that's my phone. Emotions of anxiety, fear, anger, low mood, frustration, loneliness, and feelings of general abandonment. People experience physical symptoms like nightmares, headache, poor concentration, memory, exhaustion, lots of gastro problems, and headaches. And this led to people napping during the day. I've seen a massive increase in alcohol, okay, increase of night medication, okay, decrease in exercise because people weren't able to get out, and getting natural daylight, which is really, really important for us to sleep. And there was just a general disruption of routine, okay. And one thing leads to another, and the cycle of poor sleep then starts. So what can we do? Okay, so I'm going to look at each of those, the cognitions, which are the thoughts, the emotions, behaviours and physical symptoms, okay? So it is understandable during this time to have very negative thoughts, okay? Sometimes these negative thoughts can be helpful. So not all negative thoughts are unhelpful. Sometimes they really motivate us. However, there's a very good chance if your mind decides to offer you a selection of your worst memories from the last 10 years between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. in the morning, that is definitely not helpful. And unfortunately, you can't block out thoughts, okay? The more you try and block them, the more they return, like little boomerangs, okay? So what can you do? So these are the things that have been really helpful for people, okay, who have had problems sleeping. So I worked with a lot of staff from accident and emergency during pandemic, and they would often go home with lots of thoughts in their head. So what we get people to do is to get a journal. I do love a journal, and write and reflect how your day's been. And for me, because I'm so forgetful, I write one side of my journal how my day's been, and the other side of the journal, I write down what I've got to remember tomorrow, because I go to sleep and then I've forgotten, I blink and I've forgotten. Or for people really, really worry, what sometimes is really helpful is to set a time, say 20 to 30 minutes, where you write down all your worries. Not as you go off to bed, please, though. So about 6:30, 7 o'clock time. And give yourself 20 minutes to write down every single worry that you have. After that 20 minutes, if a worry pops into your head, you say to yourself, okay, I'll try and remember that for when I have my worry time tomorrow, okay? So that's journaling. Mindfulness, okay? So a lot of people think, oh gosh, people keep going on about this mindfulness. Well, exercise increases strength, stamina, flexibility of the body. You can't go to the gym once and run a marathon. You have to go regularly. Mindfulness increases strength, stamina, and flexibility of the mind. And you have to practice to have that flexibility of the mind, okay? Now, there's two types of mindfulness, really. Informal, so when you're doing hobbies and interests, okay, you're not in the past, you're not in the future, you're very much focused on the present, which is very mindful, okay? So these colouring books that are very mindful, the reason they are mindful is if you are in the past worrying, you know, why has this happened? What did I do wrong? How could I prevent it? Or worrying about what could happen next week, you'd go over the edges, okay? So that is why colouring is mindful, because it is, you have to be in the present. But you've all got hobbies and interests that actually give your mind a break, okay? And formal is what we think of as meditation. So I'm not going to, mindfulness is very much like riding a bike. You can talk about how to learn to ride a bike. You can watch a video, you know, you can speak to somebody about how to ride a bike, but really to ride a bike, you have to get on it and start pedaling, okay? So there are some good books about mindfulness, but for you to really understand mindfulness, it's about practicing. You can go on YouTube and practice it. There's all different sort of meditations. I've put a few links anyway at the end. So what I'm going to do, the other thing that technique I often use, which is like a mindfulness practice, I'm wondering if you're willing to give it a go. It takes a very short amount of time. So I want you to just sit comfortably, and I want you to notice 5 things in your room, all right? 5 things. Just have a look around, okay? And now I want you to notice 4 sounds, okay? Really listen for sounds inside your room and outside your room, okay? If you can't hear 4 sounds, you're not here to make it up, okay? Just listen to what you can hear. So number 3 is sensations. I want you to notice your feet on the floor, okay? Where your bottom rests in the chair, okay? And where your hands make contact with your lap. Okay, and I will tell you, I'm sure Tracy will share a funny story when we did a mindfulness practice when we ran the group. Now I want you to notice 2 smells, okay? Just some of you may have been cooking, you might have had a cup of coffee. Just notice if you can notice 2 smells. And the last one is taste, okay? Just notice what you can taste. It may be that you need a drink, okay? you are now in the present. Because while you're doing that, you're not in the past, you're not in the future, you've brought yourself back to the present. Okay, so that's one of, I've put it in more detail at the end of the slides. The other thing that people often find helpful, so some of the staff that I used to see, they would find it really hard to let go of work before they got home. So what we used to do is get them to imagine on their journey home, what we would get them to do is notice whether there was a bus stop or set of traffic lights before they left near their home. So all their thoughts about their day, when they got to these traffic lights or bus stop, what we would do is get them to drop off those thoughts to visualize dropping off those thoughts at the bus stop. And we had such good fun with this because it's a very strange thing to do, isn't it? And saying to them, I'm going to drop you off here now, and I will collect you in the morning, okay? And not only did it make people laugh, but actually they found it really, really helpful. Acceptance of cognitions. Thoughts are just thoughts. Just because you have a thought that says something doesn't mean it's true. So it's learning to be more flexible with some of those thoughts we have, okay? So the next part I'm going to talk about is emotions, okay? As human beings, we are very hard on ourselves. So what is interesting, so this quote says, I don't think anyone could ever criticize me more severely than the way I viciously criticize myself, okay? So with our emotions, we're often really hard on ourselves. And studies have shown that self-compassion, a warm, kind and non-judgmental attitude to oneself during setbacks, okay, modulates individuals' adjustments to the pandemic-related threats. So it's okay, basically that says being kind to yourself is helpful, okay? Research has shown that is very helpful. So how do we do self-compassion? Okay, so when we make a mistake, because we're humans and we all make mistakes, the things we say to ourselves, we would never, ever say to a loved one. Never, ever, okay? So being aware of those thoughts, okay? If you wouldn't say it to a loved one, you shouldn't be saying it to yourself. So often what I would do is get people to write down, although you've made a mistake, you're beating yourself up for it, you're catastrophizing, which is really normal, you know, because obviously something awful is going to happen, okay? I get people to write it down. All the thoughts they have, how they feel, all the physical stomach churning, feeling sick, write it down. Then go and have a cup of tea, then come back after about 30 minutes. And if it was a loved one, a son or a daughter, partner, who was going through this, what you would say to them and write it down. And follow the advice you would give your friend, not the advice that you give yourself. So you can always try and give it a go. Obviously, I'll send these slides out later. Okay, self-compassion break. So there's a little mindfulness link, okay, so that you can do some self-compassion, okay? Because actually just stepping in, you know, just clocking in with yourself during the day and saying, actually, how am I feeling? Do I need a bit of a break? Do I need a cup of tea? Do I need to be kind to myself? Positive affirmations before going to bed. What is really interesting, people will go, oh, that's so silly, positive affirmations, positive lines before I go to bed. But we're very, very quick to say really negative things to ourselves. We almost brainwash ourselves, okay? We say these negative things to ourselves so often, we believe them, and they are our go-to line, okay? So, and that may have been really helpful during primitive times, okay? Because actually it wouldn't have been helpful being positive. Being negative and assessing the situation over and over again would have been quite helpful because we lived in groups, and if we upset anybody in the group, we would have been a human being on our own and we wouldn't have survived very long. But it is okay to say positive things to ourselves and to wire ourselves up more positively, okay? rather than this beating up of ourselves all the time. So I have put some positive affirmations, because often people go to bed with really negative stuff, and then they wonder why they're restless at night time, when they wake up between 1 and 3 and can't get back off to sleep. So I put some at the end of the slides to have a go at them. Gratitude. Something that is often people find really, really helpful. So this is sort of quite positive. Gratitude is not about making something absolutely miserable positive, okay? Gratitude is noticing the really positive things around you. So often as I go off to bed, if I've had a busy day, what I will do is put my hand on my heart and say 3 things I'm grateful for. So it might be, I'm grateful for my grandson because he Zoomed me and I saw him on video and spoke to him. Or it could be, I'm grateful that I had a 30-minute break and I could spend some time chatting to other staff. Okay, so it's about ending the day in a more positive note, so you go to bed with more of a positive head on, rather than going to bed and using your bedtime as beating yourself and giving yourself a hard time. Smiling, there's lots of research saying even if you feel a bit miserable, actually smiling can make you feel better. It does, the brain registers it, and we produce some happy hormones while we're smiling. And unfortunately, because of masks, we can't see people smile so much now, but obviously when people smile, it's very catching. So, and visual imagery, visualizing something positive as you go off to bed, okay? And anxiety is very physical, we feel it in our body. So we have a sympathetic system, which is like fight, flight and freeze response, and your parasympathetic, which is a calming, which is about rest and digest. So what can be really helpful if people are really tense? People often don't even notice they're tense, okay? They often go to bed with lots of tension. They lay down, put their head on the pillow and go, oh gosh, my neck hurts, my shoulder hurts. So actually doing a body scan before you go off to bed will reduce some of the tension that we hold in our body during the day, and we do hold it in our body, reduce it so that we sleep better. And you can get a body, you can go on YouTube and put body scan, it will come up with all different types. Exercise, okay? Another way of coping with stress is increasing exercise. You don't have to go to the gym. It can be any sort of physical exercise, okay? It could be gardening, dancing, you know, anything to increase, because that increases serotonin, which is our happy hormone, and endorphins, which really, really help with pain, okay? Meditation, yoga and Tai Chi to calm that sympathetic system, okay, so that we're encouraging our parasympathetic system to kick in, okay. Sleep hygiene is we have to be in a routine. We can't just fall off to sleep just like that. So with a child, you wouldn't expect them to be really, really busy and then just put them into bed and they go off to sleep. That's the same with us as human beings. There are certain cues that are really important to encourage us and to help with sleep. So we have got circadian rhythm, okay? And that is your sleep-wake cycle, okay? And it is governed by our master clock, which is influenced by light, okay? So, and also you will hear about melatonin. As our day goes on, melatonin increases, and that helps us, and that cues the body to go off to sleep. And it is a sleep hormone from the pineal gland, and it's thought of as the hormone of darkness. And yeah, and as I said, production increases with evening. As it gets dark, the melatonin increases. Before everybody rushes out and buys melatonin, research-wise, the only time that melatonin really, really helps most people is for jet lag, okay? So here is a little graph which really shows how melatonin increases as it becomes darker, all right? So how can we increase this melatonin? What can we do to increase sleep? Okay, Getting outside during the day, get some light. Now that the weather's better, please, even if it's out in your garden, open the curtains in the mornings, get some daylight, really important. Exercise, really important. Tire yourself out, but not before you're going to bed, because you're going to have trouble. Manage your caffeinated drinks, okay? Caffeine has got a half-life of about 5 to 8 hours, which means after 5 to 8 hours, half of that caffeine is still circulating in your system, okay? So it will cause problems getting off to sleep. We do have some people that aren't affected by caffeine, but the majority of us are affected. So very Coca-Cola, Lucasade, which I used to love, that I don't drink anymore, coffees, just be very careful. Smoking, not good for sleep, because people get up for a cigarette because they have nicotine withdrawal, all right? Smoking is not helpful towards sleep. Often people will have their last cigarette before they go off to bed, but they will often wake up during the night because they've got nicotine withdrawal, okay? And alcohol I said about anyway. Manage your stress. The main reason people can't sleep is because they're stressed, okay? By using mindfulness, okay? There's only 2 things you should be doing in your bed. I don't really need to explain it, okay? They both start with S, sleep and sex, nothing else, okay? Make sure you've got comfortable bed and bedding. People will spend so much money on a posh gym or gym equipment or faddy diets and then not spend any money on their beds, being comfortable. Sleep is just important as exercise, okay, and as diet. And in fact, one night bad sleep has an immediate effect where you can have a poor diet for years and years before it takes any effect. So definitely look at your beds and your bed linen and make sure you're as comfortable as possible. Avoid the blue light, avoid light, full stop, because obviously that affects the melatonin, because melatonin loves darkness, okay? Loves dark, and especially blue light, which will affect the melatonin. So your bedroom shouldn't look like a techie office. So they did some research on women who fall asleep. I don't know why it's women who fall asleep with the TV on, okay, at night time. And even though their eyes are closed and they slept, they didn't have such good sleep, okay, even though they were asleep. So any sort of tech, you should keep it to a minimum. I know people use mobile phones as alarm clocks, but put the mobile phone the other side of the room so you have to physically get up. What is really sad, couples often, the last thing they see before they settle down for the night is often their mobile phones, checking Facebook. They're really, really sad rather than each other. So keep noise to a minimum, all right? Temperature, our body's temperature needs to drop a bit before we can go off to sleep. That's why we'll struggle in the summer, okay? But I've got some tips at the end for that. But so having a warm shower, so that when you get out of the shower, your body temperature drops on a normal day, so that you sleep. And if you're really tired, you'll notice you feel really cold because your body temperature will drop, okay? Be careful with naps during the day. If you've got to have a nap during the day, okay, in the morning, okay, rather than sort of 5, 6 o'clock time, okay? And routine, it's really, really important. We are creatures of routine. Something I must say, okay, which is a really important topic, is snoring. We all take the mickey out of snoring, but it's not funny at all. If you've got a partner or you snore very loudly and hold your breath, okay, you need to see your GP because you could have sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is often people will come and see me and they're feeling depressed, and actually it's due to sleep apnea, or they just feel tired all the time and they say, I've slept 8 hours or 10 hours and I'm still tired. So please, 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 if you've got a partner or there's a loved one, or you know somebody who you're aware that they hold their breath, or you're aware that you might hold your breath at night, or you make strange gurgling noises, please see your GP, because that needs to be treated, okay? Needs to be, and you're more prone to all sorts of physical health problems if you do not get that treated. Okay, so I've given you lots of tick boxes to do. So some of these sleep tips will be helpful and some will not. This is not a tick box exercise, how to get to sleep. The main reason people had trouble getting off to sleep because they struggle. Okay, so these tips, I don't want you going, right, I'm going to try that tip, that tip, that tip, and then, right, Kim, I can't get to sleep and I've tried everything, because that is not how it works. Okay, so what is really important? What do you do if you can't get off to sleep? Okay, rest. Stop the struggle with trying to sleep. If you ask an insomniac who has been up all night long trying to sleep and then they fall asleep at 5 a.m, what they did, they'll say the night was ruined anyway, there was no point trying anymore. And when they stopped that trying, they stopped that struggle, they went off to sleep. Or if you can't rest, get up after 30 minutes, stop the struggle and do something really boring and unstimulating, all right? I've just done this quickly for sleep tips for heat wave, all right? Some of them may not be appropriate, so don't give me a hard time. Keep hands and feet out of duvet, people find that, or sleep alone. That's not going to be appropriate for everybody. Sleep on your side, because if you sleep on your side, you will expose a larger portion of your body to the air, letting the heat from your body escape, all right? Hot water bottles, literally not. Fill them with cold water, really cold water, or perhaps put them in the freezer for 10 minutes before going off to bed, okay? Chilled bed linen, okay? So stick the bed linen in the fridge or in the freezer, obviously in a bag, because it's not particularly hygienic, because you start ripping off your bed linen and throwing it in the freezer with the food, or in the fridge with the cheese and the eggs and whatever else is in there. Pillows, what are they? They're like gel pillows that you put in your pillowcase, okay, which are a cooling gel, okay? People find that really helpful. Chill your socks. If anybody wears socks as they go off to bed, chill them before and put them on, because if your feet are cold, often that's the sticking your feet out the duvet, that can be helpful. Splash sheets with cold water, not soak them like a bed with a soaky wet bed, but splash cold water, splash, not drown them. Okay, some people find helpful. Natural fibres we need during this weather, and there's some research anyway at the moment. And there was something on the news this morning about how we're using so many man-made fibres in our clothes and things that they're environmentally not friendly and we can't get rid of them. Okay, a lot of people use fans. I use a fan as I go off to sleep in this weather. Put ice water, bowl of ice water near the fan, so the fan blows through the ice water and you will get a sort of cold, it'll be colder, okay, feel colder. Fill a bottle with cold water, spray bottle, and it's Clifton. Fill the spray bottle with cold water, spray yourself or spray your bed linen, okay? Heat rises, okay? I can't do this because I'm 6 foot tall and I'll never get up from the floor. But some people find, because heat rises, the lower down you sleep in your bed. So a futon, if you can physically get up, I personally wouldn't be able to get up in the morning from the floor. But some people find sleeping, that in some of these Asian countries, they will have futons. Okay, one, they're wooden often anyway, which is quite a natural material, but they're nearer the floor and heat rises, so you should be cooler, or sleep downstairs. Okay, because it's a very good chance it may be cooler downstairs. Do not have a cold shower, okay? Not a freezing cold shower. So many people say, I find, because what happens is your blood vessels constrict to move away because it's saying it's cold, and then you don't sweat, okay? When you sweat, that cools down the body. So a tepid shower is much better. Sweating cools down the body. Because you'll have a cold shower, and when you get out of that cold shower, you'll feel fine. Once you hit the heat, the body's going to say, oh my God, there's a difference between the temperatures, and then you're going to feel even hotter. As I said before, beware of alcohol and caffeine, okay? And obviously it's okay to have spicy food, but not hot spicy food. Also, especially women going through the menopause, alcohol before you go to bed is definitely a no-no, because you will really sweat, okay? Really sweat. Switch off appliances in your bedroom, okay? Because they produce heat as well. So start switching off if you can switch off some of those appliances. And something else, I haven't tried this, but I might try this tonight, actually. Apparently, iced rice socks, okay? I'm definitely going to try it. I'm not sure how the rice doesn't leak out of the socks, but you must have some I presume you have to use like cotton socks, really dense. So you put the rice in the socks, you put it in the freezer, and then you take it out as you go off to bed and you apply it to pulse points. And apparently that's supposed to be really helpful. And that's something that I'm going to try tonight. Okay, so because obviously I'm aware that people might want to ask some questions, hopefully something that I'll be able to answer. So the appendix, what I've done is I've done that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 that we did. Okay, then dealing with those thoughts, okay, noticing, is this thought useful or helpful? Is this an old story? Because most of these thoughts that we use at night time are the same old thoughts. Have I heard this one before? There's a very good chance you have heard that story before. What do I get if I buy into that story? Is it going to make me feel good, or is it going to make me feel miserable? Does this thought help me to take effective action? Now we're talking about sleep. Is this thought helping me go off to sleep? Am I going to trust my mind that says I'm completely and utterly useless, or the experience that actually my mind is wrong? Okay. Affirmations. Have a go at them before going to bed. Okay. Rather than go to bed about all the things you haven't done, try going to bed with the things you have done. I have done my best today. I'm proud of what I did today. I let go of that no longer serves me. My heart is grateful. I am free to be in the present moment. As I inhale peace, I exhale what needs to be released. And the gratitude, I always use the gratitudes anyway. With hand on heart, 3 things I'm grateful for and why. So I can't say I'm grateful for my daughter. I'd have to say I'm grateful for my daughter because she made me a cup of tea or did the washing up. Okay, some helpful things: Sleep Foundation, Sleep Council, Sleep Charity. Matt Walker, absolutely amazing man. Okay, he is definitely the sleep guru. You must, okay, I should say, are you willing to have a look at his podcast? But I will encourage you, this is the link down here is the podcast. I'll encourage you to go on it. Now, Matt Walker, his podcast is Sleep is My Superpower. And for all you men, the first line, and for you women as well, the first line is the effect of poor sleep on testicles, okay? So feel free to Google his podcast on YouTube, okay?